this is a great topic. It feeds naturally from our guests. So really, it's what is the relevance of Excel? Why are we doing why is Excel so great for not just for financial modeling, but as an application platform? So why is it so important these days that we see it so great? And for me, and I know I've brought this up before, it's always about there are these companies that come in, so like they're selling ERP systems, things that are meant to be custom analytical tools to different companies. So say I'm a small business and I want to buy a data analysis tool. Well, right now there's a lot of big vendors selling me a lot of big products, and there's still not yet this market for custom products. And except unless you want to make your own software application, I think Excel really gets people almost sometimes 100% there into its custom development solution, but sometimes 80% there. So that's sort of my thing on it. That's why I always tell clients, I can make something for you that's exactly what you need, and then you own it and you can sell it. You don't have to pay licensing or maintenance fees. But I think this flows naturally. What is the importance of Excel right now in financial and modeling, but even outside of that and the stuff, I know, Oz, you say you don't do a whole lot of financial modeling, but it is an application at its core. So that was my monologue. I feel like it went on for a while, but I bring that to the panel to discuss.
So I'll jump in and do my Oz impersonation here. What was the question again?
Oh, sorry. What is the relevance, the importance of using Excel? So why, when we think about the financial modeling competition, why are we still thinking about Excel? Why is it so great to use for modeling or to build applications, things like that? So I just want to get a different opinions on this.
Yeah, I got to tell you, from my perspective, I used to do financial modeling, but when I worked back at Citibank, way back in the day. And I also used to have to build. I worked for an HR outsourcing company where we had to build. Or it was my job to build the forward-looking financial statements if we're gonna take over HR for a very large company. What does it look like if we bid for that business for pricing, et cetera? And I got to tell you, from my perspective, first off, it's on everybody's desktop. So I mean, it's so pervasive that it's everywhere. You got to come up with something that's so much better than Excel to get rid of it. It's relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of the other tools, and man, it's just so dang versatile. I could do so much with it. Outside of there's structures of where the cells have got to be and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, rows and columns, and so that could be a little bit of a limitation. But for doing financial modeling, net present value, forward cash flows, internal rate of return, etc. I mean, you have to be at Excel. It feels like. I mean, sure, you could build online calculators, but then even with your online calculators, you're getting an output so that you can put it in Excel to run a different model, right? So that you can run a cash flow or you can run an income statement. And it's hard for me, as a former finance guy, to really imagine a world without Excel. What do you think about that, Oz?
Well, would Johann, would you want to say so? I'm thinking about. I've got some ideas.
Yeah, this obviously came up very early on when we decided to run the Financial Modeling World Championships. Do we open it up to beyond Excel? And we ultimately made the decision to keep it just in Excel so that we could have uniformity of questions. It was easier to mark. It was easier to assess, and that still for us covered sort of 95% of the audience that we wanted to reach. So for us, it was a no-brainer. But the stuff that you sort of touched on, Rick, I think is absolutely important, particularly that inertia of Excel. It is on everyone's computer. Everyone at least has some basic level of understanding of Excel, are probably two of the most important things. And I think that is going to continue for a while. And the reason I say that is when we were in New York and we had this product insight session with the team from Excel and our modelers, we were talking about some of the latest features that are being worked into Excel and some of the new features that are coming out in Excel 2013 and that people are aware of. But when it comes to the financial modeling work that people do inside organizations, they're still using Excel 2010. They're still using Excel 2007. And it is so hard for them to actually adopt the latest version of Excel, let alone anything else. And it really struck me as that point of what other industry in the world do you have the hardest core users of a product still 2 or 3 years away from actually using the current release of a product? In the technology space, anyone who has an iPhone, as soon as the new one comes out, the hardest core users have it in the first few days. Whereas Excel, it's kind of like, we're not going to use the latest features for another 3 years. And that kind of really just struck me as a reminder of what an ingrained position Excel has in our lives.
And I think one thing no one's touched upon is the fact that Excel and financial modeling is really poorly taught in our university systems worldwide.
Yes.
And general principle. And I think even worse, like, I did a Bachelor of Laws and Commerce at university. I went to work in investment banking. The first day I was there, I got told, you're building a three-way financial model on day one. And I said, that's interesting. I've never used Excel before at 24, 25 years old, a few years ago. And I think a lot of people watching this show today would be in a similar boat. The smart people who they have to figure it out. The 90% of people are self-taught here, and you're lucky if you've got a really good mentor. And to your point about the pervasiveness and versatility of it, I think it's something that businesses are driven ultimately by making money or cutting cost, and they don't have time to ultimately upskill everyone on a tool. It gets the job done, and I think Modeloff is actually the first attempt in the world to actually really celebrate the power users, the mega users, and alongside Microsoft, and actually saying, where can we take these people to the next level? And with data and with numbers. And so it's an exciting frontier, I think, the next 5 to 10 years we're going to see. And let's just hope we get more people using, just becoming better thinkers and better power users of Excel. I think that would be a really good achievement.
Mike Irvin said a very similar thing whenever he was on Mr. Excel is Fun. Being a professor, that he considers it. I don't want to quote him, paraphrasing, but it's almost a travesty to some extent that a lot of people leave school and don't really have a good grasp of Excel, but think they have a good grasp of stats and a good grasp of financial modeling, and having to learn that in Excel is actually what had helped start the whole channel to begin with.
Yep.
And to your point of financial modelers being a lot of times a few years behind, I remember at the time that 1,000,000 rows came out, and that was the only reason that somebody would from a financial modeling perspective, net present value doesn't change, internal rate of return doesn't change. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about a whole lot of my calculations and everything breaking. But man, 1,000,000 rows, to me, that was like the killer app. For me, that was like a reason to move to the next level. But beyond that, if I'm a financial modeler, to your point, that there's no real reason for me to do that because my financial models are all kind of set and they're ready to go. They're good. They're good to go.
Well, they say with startup companies, right? They say you've got to be 10 times better than the competitor. I just don't think it will come and may not come for another 10 or 20 years as 10 times better. And I think we all know the arguments, and I think we're all pretty proud of Excel. It gets the job done and allows us. For the people who are lucky enough to work with Excel and do analysis for a living, I think they're very fortunate to have such a great tool to work with.
Right. Well, what I will add is this: subversion. Why? Because you have people sitting at their desktop, as has been said, and they can't get stuff out of the database. They've got to wait a week for somebody to get it. Whatever the magic database is too expensive to subscribe to, so they have Excel at their desktop, and they go to it. And then I hear from the people who have the big enterprises with the fancy, expensive stuff, and the whole team dedicated to that fancy, expensive stuff. Our vendors send us these Excel spreadsheets. Yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. That's what I was trying to say at the start of this in my really long-winded rant, which was that, right now there's this. I think we're kind of having a return to Excel, but there was a push that we needed to move towards these big systems that could do our data analysis. And the problem was, and still is, that companies have custom issues that these big systems can't really address. They're too general. In Excel, you can make something better than what these big vendors can do, and you can make it faster and you can make it cheaper. And at the end of the day, if you have your internal team make it, you own it. So you're not paying a licensing fee to use it. So I think it's unbelievably important.
Yeah.
And I think, Jordan, to your point in Oz, we had a really good strategy chat recently with someone kind of in the big data and analytics space. And what makes financial modeling special is kind of this ability to move this way. It's taking lots and lots and lots of variables in an incredibly intricate way and saying, this is how the alchemy works, and this is how the magic goes together. Whereas a number of these kind of analytics vendors are drilling really, really deep, amazingly deep into insights, into billions of bits of data, but they're doing it in this way. But it's not generating, it's generating insights, but in a different type of way around volume or other things. But the advantage of Excel and financial modeling together is this breadth of complexity and the versatility to solve things that just simply cannot be solved by stock standard solutions.
Right, and I really appreciate being part of Excel TV and what you all are doing in getting the word out. And when we had Carrie Finn on, she talked about, relying on the Microsoft Excel MVPs to help support the smaller businesses and get the word out, because Excel is so powerful. And in the past few weeks, I've been having discussions with people about Google Docs. And I tell you, I'm going to do something bad. But no, I'm a nice fellow, but I'm not going to do anything bad. But these people keep talking about Google Docs. I tried to make dependent drop-down lists. I've tried to make validation reliant on other cells. And yeah, you can do it if you program JavaScript, but Excel has ways of doing it. And we got to start getting the word out about Excel Online, because if you create dependent drop-down lists in Excel and then bring them online, they still work. They don't work in Excel in Google Docs. So we got to get that word out.
So
go ahead.
I do have a quick question now that I was just thinking about this. So thinking about the future of Excel, the Excel web app. So how do you, Johann and John, how do you see that potentially changing the contest? Do you ever foresee Excel web app kind of showing up on the? I mean, just thinking in general, the changes of Excel.
We Modeloff's a brand, right? And Modeloff, it stands for a philosophy of what we stand for around Excel, finance, and financial modeling, kind of at the intersection, and accounting in there as well, kind of at the cross section between all of them. As new extensions and new opportunities, whether it could be VBA too, right? VBA, it could be other forms of expansionary parts or different streams to the competition, a bit like the Tour de France, right? You can have different jerseys and different things. It's not for this year, but like if we were convinced enough as organisers that there was enough of a pool of people there, passionate enough and evangelistic enough about it, yeah, absolutely. Modeloff would definitely consider, having sub-streams, as part of, official World Championship proceedings, and just making the competition bigger with extra streams. What do you reckon, Johan?
Yeah, look, we will get there eventually. I think it will be, as I said before, we use Excel because it got to 95% of our audience. The Excel Online stuff is, people are now starting to become familiar with it, using it more and more. I think what you do with Excel, whether it be online or on your desktop, is still the same kind of stuff, right? And that's ultimately what our questions are based around. But I think as more and more people get familiar with the online version, and as more and more people have access to it, that we'll be able to find cool, innovative ways to incorporate in the competition. And for us, I think it opens up a whole bunch of doors in terms of things that you could do potentially with multiple people editing one sheet and various things like that. But yeah, we look forward to finding out how to best incorporate this into our competition. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to change the substance of the competition, because as John said before, our audience is that intersection between those three different industries, and celebrating excellence in and around those industries and Excel, making it making it cool, making it acceptable, giving, as you put Oz, giving people permission to be passionate about Excel. And whether it's Excel on your desktop or Excel online, it doesn't matter. People are passionate about Excel.
And guys, before we go a little bit later on, we wanted to bounce a couple of ideas off you and your community.
But
and also around there, we're looking at putting together.
Yes.
Sorry, Oz.
No, I wondered if you could talk about some of your other competitions, and then we'll move on to that.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun, as you can tell. We kind of like this stuff, running World Championship events, and we had so much success that this year we're actually running 2 more competitions. So one is the Big Data World Championships in October this year. So if you type in Big Data World Championships into Google, you'll find it. But if you type in texata.com, Texata, it's the brand, it's the Modeloff equivalent for the Big Data World Championship. So there's about 1,750 people signed up already for that competition. 3.5 months out, there's a lot of interest. And that's really, again, about celebrating young professionals and students. And it's not just like a little crowdsourcing competition. It's celebrating the breadth of data experience, celebrating people who know how to think about business problems in a wide range of skills.
I'm signing up for that. I'm going to sign up for that. It's on.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. And also, before that, Johann and me are pretty busy. We're running the Loyalty and Gamification World Championships. So loyalty, rewards, and gamification. So that's more around, mobile marketing, the way you create incentives, the way you you put together gift programs. But there's a basic economic fact that holding on to a customer is 5 times cheaper than acquiring a new one. And the skills that you show, and you can demonstrate, like recommendation engines as well. Great example for loyalty and gamification. How do you create customer stickiness and loyalty and celebrate engagement? So that's the loyalty games. So that loyalty games or loyalty games in that's later on in the year as well. So we've got 3 World Championships this year, so it's a lot of fun. And
but I think the one thing they all share is that it's about picking these innovative areas of, I guess, professional services in general, if you will, and giving people an environment where they can get involved, participate, and learn. That learning sort of byproduct has always been really important to us. And then also celebrating excellence, making it okay to be passionate and celebrate the people who are the best in the world at it. That's ultimately what these World Championships come down to.
And our dream, Oz, is to one day run the Olympics equivalent for consulting and professional services.
Hey, cool.
All right.
That's our dream. And, Oz, you'll be a special guest of mine.
Oh, man, yeah. I'll do it. And I'll get a special bow tie made, too. Just for that. And I'll let you have it. Yeah. The data parsing live Friday night. You'll see Lynn, char, mid, left, right used in ways that you have never seen.
Next up, Bill Jellin.
I think we've just found our 2nd ever financial modeling commentator. Oz, welcome to the team.
I think Oz needs to announce Bill. I think that'd be perfect. So next up, Oz.
Oh,
hot tips.
Hot tips. All right.
Now, before we go, we do want to send it back to our guests. So let's just remember that to talk about some of their ideas.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Right, Jordan.
So we had a couple of ideas around T-shirts for this year, because we've had a few people request that we start. They're pretty passionate about Modeloff, obviously, in the 110 countries competing around the world. So we thought T-shirts would be our first step into merchandise. So we thought we'd create something nice and easy and simple. So at the moment, Johann and John here are thinking about some slogans. Johann, would that be
correct?
right?
So I'm not sure whether we've got the concepts up on your screen, Jordan, but we essentially sat down the other day and said, all right, well, what kind of T-shirts would the passionate Excel user like to be able to own? So we've, I think, at the moment got about 8 different concepts that range from the the interesting to the slightly wacky, and I think, Rick, if your eye movement is any indication, are they about to pop up on the screen?
Yeah, we're waiting for Jordan. Are you pulling that up, Jordan?
Yep, I'm pulling it up. One second.
Right.
Let me.
So these are just concepts at this stage, but to anyone out there who's watching it, we're sort of taking feedback at the moment. We're probably going to put the best sort of 3 or 4, get them actually designed properly, get them actually printed, and put up online, available for the whole community to buy. Because we felt, you know what, there are people who feel so passionately about Excel that just like any other kind of startup or technology business or 1990s sort of video game console, the Excel community needs their t-shirts as well.
So I might read them out. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't got time for that. I like that.
Because what was the next one? Well, I can't see.
One.
Let's have a look. Trust me, I model.
Nice.
The next
Ooh, I
one,
like-
I can go all night.
Nice.
That's a good
Next
one.
one.
That's a good one. Cool. The evolution.
I like
The
that.
evolution.
Yep.
Ooh, I like
So
that. Also the evolution.
Yeah,
the evolution of Excel, and I think there were a few.
Were there a
more
couple
back
at the top? Go to the top. What was the top? Holy macro.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Bill Jelen may have copyrighted that.
Well,
no, I
we
don't
just
know.
realised the other day that that's the name of his publishing,
And,
so we'll have to get his tick of approval, but I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
Spreadsheet superstar.
I like this one. I like this one.
Yeah, and I use Excel for recreational purposes. So it's,
like that.
there's a few ideas.
I like that one a lot.
Me
You know,
too.
maybe we should have some people send some ideas in. Maybe we should put that as
Absolutely. So what's that? We can
Fine.
use the comments down below when this goes up on YouTube for people who want to either vote for their favourite or suggest any sort of extra ideas. Feel free to perhaps use the comments down below to get involved.
Yeah.
great. Cool.
That's awesome. I'm geeked up.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to get a shirt. I'll have to get a shirt. Next time I'm gonna have a shirt. Are those for sale right now? Could I buy one of those right
Not yet, no. They will be probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
now? Okay. All right. Well, two shows out then. 2 shows out. I'll have one of those. That's awesome.
Excellent. We'll get you one, Rick.
Nice.